Hi, welcome to What the Freud. Let's rewind to the Greeks. Ever heard of a hysterectomy? Of course, everyone has. It's the procedure where they remove the uterus. But hysteria? Most of us think that's what happens when you binge watch funny cat videos. But hold up, both terms share the prefix hyster, so they must be related, right? And not quite. And here's where it gets wild. Now guys, hang in there because I know you're probably thinking that, oh goodness, this sounds like girl stuff. What does it have to do with me? I'm going to stop watching. But this has everything to do with you too. So stay with me. Thousands of years ago, Greek thinkers had a bafflingly simplistic view of female behavior. Sometimes women didn't swoon over them or got cranky, and those ancient dudes were stumped. But they were the ancient Greeks, and they invented everything. So they put their heads together, and what did they do? Well, with no antiperspirant, minty fresh toothpaste, or x-rays in sight, they came up with the most brilliant explanation ever. Women, unlike men, had wombs. Yep, wombs. So they crafted a mythology where the womb could shrivel up and wander around the female body, wreaking havoc on other organs, causing mood swings, discomfort, foul humors, and all sorts of things that men didn't care for. And the cause of this wandering womb? Drumroll please. Insufficient sex. Yep, you gotta hand it to them. They came up with a way to scare the ladies into putting out. I can just picture the town criers spreading the news and those helpful Greek dudes hiking up their togas to treat the afflicted. And to avoid dissent from women who knew better, they coined a 4-syllable term, hysteria, to lend it an air of authority. And if women disagreed, well, they clearly had the disorder and their arguments could be safely ignored. So how many women do you think were cured of hysteria by having their uterus removed? Did it magically turn them into agreeable nymphomaniacs? I'm guessing the answer is none and definitely not applicable. Hysteria actually remained a thing in medicine until the 1900s. That was when Sigmund Freud, the famous junkie neurologist, he took it to a whole new level. I mean, he took a whacked out idea and using his own special brand of science, made it go positively viral. We're talking Tide Pods viral, only more harmful. What, you ask, did he do? I'll make this TikTok brief. Freud studied neurologic patients with symptoms that didn't make sense to him and concluded the subconscious of those patients was out to avoid something by developing imaginary ailments and disorders. It was the early 1900s after all. They had perfect knowledge of every disease and access to the best in diagnostic technology. Everything important was already known, at least to him. After all, he was Sigmund Freud. If something was wrong with those patients, he would have known, right? I know you must be wondering, now wait, why am I talking about the subconscious? Didn't I just say Freud was a neurologist? Was he a psychiatrist too? Well, no. Okay, so now you want to know what exactly the patients were avoiding? It doesn't matter, at least not to Freud or anybody who believed his theories. They were so sure of his brilliance, he didn't even need psychiatrists to confirm when he applied his diagnoses, nor did he require it for any of his neurologic brethren. In fact, medicine dispensed with the need for psychiatry full stop in these cases. They didn't even require mental health professionals to take part in treatment. Not then, and not now. Yeah. But don't worry, Freud did the male gender a total solid and he let them develop his new version of hysteria too. But he renamed it to keep them from getting embarrassed. I mean, dudes don't have wombs. Could you imagine some poor guy breaking the news to his wife that he had hysteria? Surely every wife who'd ever had her judgment questioned by a doctor would have had a chuckle. No, that would be cruel. Instead, he called his disease, did you already guess? Conversion disorder. Okay, so they took a Greek myth and they made a modern disease out of it. Yep. Are you confused? You're not alone. Doctors had a lot of trouble figuring it out too, probably because Freud's definition of this mental to physical disease flip-flopping affliction couldn't be proven, and it was written in a way that made very little sense. Oh, and it still contained references to hysteria, a word that screamed chick disease. So for women with unexplained symptoms, the 1900s started and ended in pretty much the same place. Ancient Greece. You gotta hand him to him, though. He knew how to make the most of a bad idea. Speaking of which, let's get back to those viral Tide Pods. Did you know that in varying degrees, people with certain life-threatening autoimmune diseases can, thanks to Freud, get diagnosed with conversion disorder if their neurologist doesn't know what the real issue is? Yeah, we're talking 5 to 15% of people who seek neurologic care are given a mental illness label. That enduring notion of hysteria, by delaying or preventing accurate physical diagnosis, contributes to one of the leading causes of death among young to middle-aged women. Fast forward another century, and the net effect of Freud's input to neurology, was that all who followed in his neurologic footsteps were, with the introduction of the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM, I'll just say DSM because it's hard to say the other, they were given license to wipe their hands of any and all patients they couldn't diagnose. All they had to do was point to a single stressor that occurred in the patient's life. Ever. Let me put it in perspective. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 3 men are sexually molested by the age of 16. Roughly half of all marriages end in divorce. Tons of Americans carry debt, and everybody loses somebody they love. All of these are stressors that could have been considered a trigger for conversion disorder. Each one of those people could have had their physical issues dismissed for having symptoms that seemed neurologic but didn't fit into a known disease pattern. That sounds nuts, right? I mean, just absolute nuts. This link here will take you to my story of misdiagnosis. This link over here will take you to the playlist of other videos in What the Freud, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.